Let's be real, most people don't like to admit that at some point in life, you needed a whole phase. And I'm not just talking about hookups, I'm talking about the freedom, the lessons, the real self-awareness that comes with it. The whole phase is messy, fun, and sometimes wild, but also necessary. And if you're side-eyeing me right now, you probably haven't had yours yet, but I really hope you do. So welcome. Let's be real, most people don't like to admit that at some point in life, you needed a whole phase. And I'm not just talking about hookups, I'm talking about the freedom, the lessons, the real self-awareness that comes with it. The whole phase is messy, fun, and sometimes wild, but also necessary. And if you're side-eyeing me right now, you probably haven't had yours yet, but I really hope you do. So welcome to Vibes N Affirmations, with this thin line between crashing out and keeping it all together. I'm your host, G, your favorite voice of reason and sometimes chaos, and today we're gonna talk about the infamous H.O.E phase. And now, I know some of y'all might have gotten triggered if y'all hearing that. Some of y'all smiled because maybe you're in one right now, and others are rolling their eyes like, never, not me, I could never. Because the truth is, a whole phase is not only common, it's also necessary. Not because of how many people you slept with, but because of the freedom, the self-awareness, the discovery, the breaking free from shame. And let's keep it real. When it comes to whole phases, the double standards are loud. Men, they get praised for it. Women, shamed for it. So today, we're going to get into that. But first, let's tune with today's affirmation. Are you ready? I release the shame attached to my past, and I honor the lessons every phase has given me. I am free, I am worthy, and I own every version of myself. Yes, say it with me. I release the shame attached to my past. I honor the lessons that every phase has given me, and I am free, I am worthy, and I own every version of myself. That's the vibe we're going to carry the rest of this conversation, because the whole phase is not about shame. It's about growth, if you ask me. So let's clear this shit up. What is a whole phase even, right? A lot of people think that it's just wild sex, being out every weekend, or ghosting people left and right. And yeah, for some folks, that is what it looks like. But really, a whole phase is just a season where you give yourself permission to explore. It's when you say, for once, I'm going to prioritize myself, my body, my desires, my experiences without no fucking guilt. And it could look like casual dating multiple people at once. It could look like exploring your sexuality, finally figuring out what actually turns you on instead of what you were told that it should. It could look like enjoying your independence and not being tied to anyone. A whole phase isn't about bodies, y'all. It's about boundaries. It's not about who you let into your bed. It's about what you're learning about yourself in the process. Here's why this phase matters. If you ask me, it frees you from the pressure of being perfect, unrealistic purity that most of us were raised with. We were raised with so much shame tied to sex, dating, and even just existing in our desires, especially women. We were told, don't be fast, don't give it up, keep your legs closed. Meanwhile, boys are out here getting dabbed up for the same exact behavior. That kind of conditioning just doesn't disappear. When you get older, it lives in your head rent free. A whole phase is often the first time you take control. You discover what you like and what you can't stand. You learn that attraction doesn't automatically equal compatibility. You build confidence because having people desire you, flirt with you, choose you, can remind you of your worth. Sometimes it's simply about just reminding yourself that your world doesn't revolve around just one person. Now, here's the thing. There's a lot of shame around whole phases. It's not just personal, it is cultural. Men get applauded and they're called experienced. They're told that that's them sowing their oats. But when a woman does the same thing, suddenly she's being labeled, judged, and reduced to her body count. And it doesn't stop there. And so many Black, Latino, and religious households, the daughters are raised to keep it under lock and key. We hear, why you wilding, you hoeing around. While men get told, just don't get anybody pregnant. And see, the hypocrisy and the double standard, that shit is exhausting. And the worst part is, it makes people sneaky. It makes people lie. It makes people feel dirty for what's completely natural. And when you sneak, you often move recklessly. And that's where the danger lies, if you ask me. That's how some people end up in situations that they didn't need to be in. Owning your whole phase, that makes you safe because shame can't control you if you already own your own story. Now, let's be real. It's not all fun and games. A whole phase has challenges. You confuse lust for love. You think because the sex was fire, the connection is real. But in reality, that shit will humble you. Because it's not that. In most cases, or in some cases, let's not say most. Sometimes you get attached, even though you swore you were just vibing. Casual isn't always painless. Sometimes you end up feeling burnt out. Like the thrill, that shit wore off. You don't even recognize yourself in this whole phase. But here's the thing. Those experiences are lessons. They force you to ask, am I really okay with casual? Or am I pretending? Do I actually want freedom or am I avoiding intimacy? Every side of a whole phase, whether good or bad, is still teaching you something about yourself. Sometimes you can get stuck in your whole phase. Let me tell you right now, if you choose that for yourself, that's okay. The problem is when it comes from insecurity because so many people deep down crave value. We want to be chosen. We want to be seen. We want to be held up as worthy. But if you don't see yourself in that light, your choices can feel like proof that you're less valuable. And that's when people spiral. And the truth is, some of us keep seeking acceptance wherever it shows up, even if it's just temporary, even if it's just surface level. And that doesn't make you any less. It just means that you're still figuring that shit out. Society will shame you for it, no fucking doubt. Once you come okay or at peace with your decisions and maybe even exploring why you're making them, the outside noise stops fucking mattering. The people who love you and accept you for all that you are won't judge you or any phase you have been in. And another thing, it's also okay to keep your whole phase private. You don't owe the world your stories, your body count, your past, because here's the truth. Marriage and a solid relationship are absolutely possible after any stage or after any choice in lifestyle. You are not disqualified from love because of your history, period. Or you shouldn't be. And if you are being judged by it, that's not your person. Move on. For real. And that's why a whole phase is necessary because you don't leave empty-handed. You walk away with better boundaries. You know what you will and won't allow. You learn communication. And if you can't tell somebody that you're not looking for commitment, then you won't be able to communicate in a relationship either. Let me just say that. You raise your standards. You realize that sex isn't enough. And most importantly, you gain self-love. At some point, you realize that validation from other people only goes so far. If you don't see your own worth, none of this shit matters. For real though. So here's my advice. If you're in your whole phase right now, own it. Move smart. Protect yourself. Because honestly, that's really the dangerous of having a whole phase. So protect yourself physically, emotionally, and be honest with what you want. And if you're past the whole phase, don't regret it. Respect that shit. That season gave you lessons you needed. And if you never had one, that's valid too. Your version of a whole phase might include solo traveling, dating around, just living freely without answering to just anybody. The point isn't sex, it's exploration. Now, I gotta ask y'all, and I really want y'all to sit with this. If your partner admitted that they had a whole phase, like they were outside doing their thing, maybe even doing the most, will you judge them or will you respect them and that history as a part of their growth? See, this is where the double standards show up heavy because a lot of people say that they want someone who's experienced, someone who knows themselves, someone who is confident in intimacy. But guess how people get to that clarity? Through experience, bro. So if you can't say you want a partner who's secure and confident in themselves, but shame them for their journey that it took to get there, that's fucking backwards. That's ass backwards. And let's be real, judgment usually comes from insecurity and the parts that you haven't healed, because if they already own their past and they move forward, why are you holding on to that shit? At the end of the day, we've all had seasons. Maybe your season wasn't a whole phase. Maybe it was being stuck in a toxic situation. Maybe it was people pleasing. Maybe it was ignoring red flags, but your past doesn't erase your worth, and neither does theirs. So the real question isn't, did you have a whole phase? The real question is, did you grow from it? Did it teach you something? Did it shape who you are today? And does it make you a better partner? Because marriage, commitment, and love are not about pretending that you've always been perfect. They're about accepting every chapter that has led you to this one. So let's wrap this shit up. A whole phase isn't about numbers. It's about lessons. It's about freedom. It's about breaking shame. Yes, double standards are real, but they don't define you. Shame has no power over someone who owns their story. So whether you're in it, past it, or still waiting on yours, remember every phase of your life, whether it's messy, whether it's magical, it is still you. Every version of you deserves some fucking love. So that's it for this episode of Vibes and Affirmations. This is a reminder that there's power in every season and every choice, even the wild ones. Until next time, humans, stay solid, experience a motherfucking whole phase, and keep vibing.